This KFAN podcast is sponsored by Builders and Remodelers, exclusive Twin Cities provider of Elements Windows. Get the highest quality windows at unmatchable value. Visit buildersandremodelers.com for more details.
Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Get your mother-loving ears on because your big-time radio DJ's got news. PayPal lets you choose how you want to pay for all the stuff. With PayPal, I can pay in-store, pay online, or pay over time. What's that? You want this translated into song? I hope you're sitting down. You can pay your own way. You keep those ears on, you hear? Don't just pay, baby. PayPal.
Learn more at paypal.com.
You know, some people say that Odoo business management software is like fertilizer, the way it promotes growth and all. But other people say Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable. And there's some people who would even say Odoo's individual software programs come together to build the perfect suite like building blocks. Well, Odoo is all of these things. Fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. So sign up now at odoo.com. ODOO.com.
Yeah, this is one of those 9 to noon presentations. Good morning, by the way, and thank you very much for choosing to listen to FM 100.3 KFAN and the 9 to noon presentation. This is one of those commencings of a radio show with rainy days and Wednesdays have gotten us down, where the host is tired. The fill-in producer is tired. Those who stayed up for the Wild and Las Vegas Golden Knights game last evening, they're a little fatigued right now, probably a little tired. And you know what? When you're part of Buzzkill Central, well, that has a tendency to happen. But good morning and welcome to 9 to noon. I'm Paul Allen at the Minnesota Vikings facility in Eagan, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. The general manager of the football team, Kwesi Adofo-Mensah, joins 9 to noon, about an hour from now. And the Wolves play tonight on KFAN. We start handling that at about 10:35. Today's radio show covers more ground than Lewis and Clark from a coverage standpoint with the local sports teams. But it also covers a lot of ground when it comes to you, the listening audience, the host, and the fill-in producer, Brett Blakemore, because buzzkills have a tendency to do that. The Minnesota Wild lost in overtime to the Las Vegas Golden Knights last night. And there were, if you missed it and you didn't listen to the power trip or you haven't really read up on anything yet, holy cow, there were just some strange circumstances last night, some unique circumstances that you just don't absorb or see too frequently. But when you do see them, you can shrug the shoulders and kind of look the other way and be like, that's hockey. But when that's hockey, a game of inches greatly impacts a playoff series where now you're down a game and you got to go bang bang beginning tomorrow night at XL Energy Center. That one's on KFAN. That'll be Game 6, Wild and Vegas Golden Knights. Then after that, if the Wild can stave the challenge tomorrow night, they'll be back to the 702, hoping not to be the metaphorical 16 that requires a hit against the dealer showing a face card. You know, like Nyquist and the nullified goal last night. All right, you heard the highlight as part of Brett Blakemore's montage to rainy days and Wednesdays always have us down. You talk about a range of emotions there. Holy cow. I think Hartman scores with like a minute 15 to go. And you're going to win the game, and then we are voxing in the box tomorrow at TRIA. Tomorrow's show, Vox in the Box, from the capital city, with advancing in the postseason on the line. And then you have a review to make sure somebody didn't get their kicked goal on. After further review, it's a good goal. Whoa! Hold your proverbial horses. What about offside? No! Nyquist by inches. That sucked. So then you go to overtime. And when I wasn't wondering, and this, I'm not really of the second guessing variety too frequently, but this casual hockey mind was just like wondering, well, why certain personnel, what was in certain spots at certain times. And then you got a guy seemingly lost on the game winner. By the way, speaking of being shell shocked, and speaking of just being saddened with rainy days and Wednesdays always getting us down, we thank everybody for listening to each and every minute of KFAN and the Minnesota Wild coverage, from Fallness through Heinz press conference and Fallness and stuff like that. But the reality is people watch games on TV too. Did anybody happen to see Brock Faber with Kevin Gorg after the game? Holy cow, man. I mean, those of you who saw it, maybe Senor Spotty's listening right now. He knows what I'm talking about. I can't recall the last time I saw a player who 15 minutes previously exited a sporting event and was as shell-shocked as that young man was last night. I mean, he had a tough time formulating sentences. KG hit him with about 6, and Faber, I mean, he was really, really struggling after the game. He kept it together because he's hockey raised, and he's a tough guy, no doubt about it. But he just seems so incredibly stunned. Faber, man, I felt bad for him. He was super shell shocked after the game, and I wonder, like, if he's shell shocked like that, then like what was Gustav Nyquist feeling like after the game? I don't think he was made available to the media, but after that offside in the game of inches, you would see him on the bench, man, and his countenance was that of chagrin. And when his face was not in both of his palms, like bent down sad, he looked up and watched a hockey game that was absolutely fantastic for the most part. So there were so many nuance related things that transpired last night that makes that game quite the talker. Sadly, we came out on the short end of it with Vegas winning 3-2. And a question, because we're going to do talkbacks next segment. You can start getting in there now. Free iHeartRadio app, find the microphone. You know the drill. Wild exclusive talkbacks on anything that and anything you want to present about last night's game. If you want to sell hope into Game 6, we're always here for that. Why wouldn't we be? This is #FaithRadio. How are you feeling right now? How tired are you after staying up last night with Billy and Johnny and Christy, Susie, Tamika and Antoine, and everybody got together in kumbaya-like fashion? And there it is. We've won the game. We're going to win the game. Oh, wait. Yes, we got that review to go our way. What? Offside? What? And then it goes to overtime and we lose. I mean, it was emotionally draining if sports is a distraction for you. So with the talkbacks, how much did that thing sting you last night? What do you think about Game 6? What bugged you about last night? Want to sell us any hope for Game 6? And when it comes to all those big moments, and that would include a Kaprizov turnover very early in the game. He gets outskated by Eichel for what ends up being the first goal of the game. A pissed-off star known as Kirill Kaprizov comes back a mere 13 seconds later, scores a goal, ties the game. That's you talk about fortitude and tenacity and care and cunning and guile. Well done with that. Oh, by the way, Marc-Andre Fleury was the goalie in the third period in overtime. Hey! There was so much from that game last night because beloved Gus Bus got sick. So here comes HOF, and he played well, and the defense jumped out of its skin when Fleury came into the game. I think he only faced 3 shots in the third period and didn't face one for 13 and a half minutes. All right. Now, noted and emotional hockey expert Brett Blakemore is producing 9 to noon today. Once again, yours truly, Paul Allen, is at Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center with the general manager of the football team set to join us at about 10 o'clock. And Mr. Blakemore, is on the therapeutic Davenport of love. So what happened is I left the Western Burbs, went to St. Louis Park, adjacent to Erotic City, dusted off the therapeutic Davenport of love, fixed one of the legs, took the plastic off, got some throw pillows, and I laid that thing out for the fill-in because I knew he would need it today, given how much he cares about the Minnesota Wild. So Double B is on the therapeutic Davenport of love. I mean, Brett, this thing went so pear-shaped last night that even the undefeated Brett's Bets couldn't get the total over 5.5, and they had 3 goals so fast. I texted Gorg and somebody else like, man, Brett Blakemore may be the spot-up savant for whom we've been waiting all of our lives. He's seen it so unbelievably clearly now. And then the floodgates closed and everything tightened up and stuff like that, and it finished 3-2. But we do have Brett's breakaways and Brett's bets coming up middle part of the radio show. I'm going to start here, and this is off a tweet, an emotional tweet that I saw you unfurl last night. I don't have your Twitter in front of me right now. Is it at Brett Blakemore KFAN?
Just Brett KFAN. Yeah.
Okay, at Brett KFAN. Follow him as 9 to noon does if you're so inclined. You're mad at the coach, aren't you?
I'm a little annoyed. And good morning.
And good morning.
I'm trying so hard to just not rain on everyone's parade even more than because I was just so, and a lot of the tweets were just emotional outbursts last night. But I mean, I can think of, 4 decisions, or at least a couple decisions that had 4 outcomes that were directly related to John Hines last night. Like the challenge that I thought was ridiculous, which even though they didn't give up a power play goal off that's still 2 minutes that Carrill and Boldy are not on the ice. You know what I mean? The penalties, this isn't John Hines related, but the penalties to Hartman for a delay game, Foligno for dragging a guy down, that's 4 minutes that Kaprizov and Boldy are not on the ice. So how about 5 forwards on the power play instead of Zeev, because that was the decision to get rid of Zeev, even though he was the number 1 power play quarterback. They go with 5 forwards instead. They give up a shorthanded goal because no one is willing to be back defensively or is good enough to go back defensively. Guarding a 2-on-1, give me Zeev over any forward on the team any day. Freddie was kind of invisible as well, which is another talker we had. But then the winner in overtime, I was assured by everyone that when you put Johnny Merrill back in the lineup, you've got a defensive. You know what? He may not bring a lot offensively, but damn it, he's good defensively. Well, the overtime winner, whether it was Merrill's fault or Bogosian's fault or Rossi's fault, right, there was a guy wide open in the slot with no one within 5 feet of him. And I was assured that was the reason they brought him in, is for defensive stalwart. So it's just so many things went wrong that were in our control that we could have, and the things that went wrong that weren't in our control. Just overall so frustrating. And yeah, I'm trying really hard to not just go tank on the whole bit.
Now with Vox in the Box tomorrow, and you are a noted and emotional hockey expert. At least that's how I define you in the Love Covenant. And I respect your opinion specifically with hockey. So I'm going to ask a few people this tomorrow, just in low key passing fashion, because we will have the morning skate tomorrow. You'll hear the sounds of hockey. And we're getting ready for game number 6, which is tomorrow night at XL Energy Center with Joe O and Tom Reed on KFAN. But perchance I bring this up tomorrow. I'm going to start right here, simply because it's the personnel that we had on the ice. You just mentioned Bogosian, Rossi, Merrill, et al. The personnel that we had on the ice when the team lost, is that generally like how it works in a situation like that in overtime, or did we just get caught with secondary type personnel?
I mean, they definitely, I would say a little bit of both. I mean, you got to roll your guys. You can't just, play the same line over and over. But, you're not going to play. They decided to do that in game 4 when they took off Zeev, and now you've got 5 defensemen. You're just playing with a hand tied behind your back because you don't trust him. But then you're willing to put out the 4th line with the 3rd defensive pair, and it just went pear-shaped fast. And,
right.
And I get, the you got to have your guy. And even if you want to defend Merrill and say that he was following his guy up to the point, which is fine, which is valid, I would still say your number one priority is the guy wide open in the slot. But even if you want to say that, Rossi was on a guy behind the net. The wing was on a guy on the boards. The only two people who had nobody, John Merrill, Zach Bogosian, had nobody on that play.
I'm glad you laid it out like that, because that's FIFA fair. That's the Fairness in Fairness Act. Because the polarizing moment where Howden scores the goal, and by the way, something called Tanner Pearson. I'm not super familiar with Tanner Pearson. That was a badass pass that he executed to Howden. Okay, so Rossi could have done more with it, potentially. But see, Bogosian along the boards, I felt, and I think a lot of people have felt, could have probably done a better job to maybe deflect a puck or something like that. Then it gets to Pearson. Pearson goes with the Magic Johnson no-look backhander, just slides it perfectly to Howden, and he wins the game. Rossi was in between something. It's like he stood there, stick wasn't in the right place. Okay, that's an L. So now we have two L's. The most magnifying L of all of the L's ever to L, sadly, was Merrill. I mean, because he was the one heading up the ice and then coming back, retreating, trying to get Howden, who had sneaked behind him, and that's the game winner. So I like how you laid it out. It was a multifaceted L on that play, but Merrill rightfully and sadly, I don't necessarily love talking like this, but he's the one that should be most magnified, because he was the closest to the guy who scored the goal. And you could just tell by the way he slouched and was frustrated after that he knew he did something wrong. So that whole play right there, the Pearson pass was unbelievable, wasn't it?
It was a really good pass. I'm not sure how much more Rossi could have done, but what makes it frustrating from a fan perspective is that Merrill was brought in specifically to bring more defense, because they didn't trust Zeev in the big moment, and then he's the one that potentially makes. I would love to talk to like a coach or a Hines, because if we ask John Hines on the air, like, what went wrong, he's not going to throw John Merrill or anybody under the bus. Well, so we got to look at it in film. I'd love to go behind closed doors, just explain to me like I'm 5 what went wrong there and how you see it, because as a fan perspective, I see it the way that I explained a couple minutes ago, but I'd love to hear it from them, because to me, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and it's interesting the way you put that, specifically with Hines, because with his post-game press conference last night, he was asked some direct questions, not only about that play, but other situations, and he completely deflected them. And John is extremely gracious with 9 to Noon. And I really, really enjoy our weekly chats. And he opens up about certain things with 9 to Noon that I just don't hear in some of these press conferences. So with the assumption he'll be on 9 to Noon tomorrow, I'm not exactly sure how far down the road on this one we'll go. But to just speculate and or guess off the question you pose, where it's like private, closed doors, and like nobody's going to know, stuff like that. I don't see how he can't say Merrill has to be in the right spot and make that play. So yeah, A took place, Bogosian, and that needed to be better. Rossi, B, maybe there was something that needed to be better there. I don't know enough about the game to know if his positioning was right. I just know there was a chance for a puck deflection, with the stick in the right hand and the backhanded pass coming from Tanner Pearson. But I would guess he would just be like, Merrill has to make that play. The guy right there has to make that play, especially in that situation. I think that would probably be the most vain opening if you were to get him in that situation.
Real quick, PA, yeah. I just wanted to mention too, keep sending in those talkbacks as well. I'm seeing a lot of them file in, keep sending those in. But I'm also looking at the Bradshaw and Bryant KFAN text line. Mm-hmm. We've got, basically, it looks like the number one culprit for the game last night, according to the text line, is Nyquist and not dragging a skate. How frustrated are you with did you drag a skate? Could you not? Could you have just moved your foot a little bit? What's the outrage meter for you on that one? I
mean, that's the way they lost the game with a key component, and now see the replacing of Z Bouillon. really, there's no guarantee Booyah makes that. There's no guarantee anybody makes that play. So therefore, when you make a move like that, you analyze the totality of the game and what you got and what you didn't get. So therefore, I don't, go cherry picking with, see, told you so and so should have played, because who knows if he even would have been in that spot. But the replacement was in the spot and it didn't work. So, and you lost the game. So that the Nyquist game of inches situation, it's unfortunate. I get the skate drag that didn't take place. There clearly had to be a form of lacking self-awareness with where you were. But I deal with this sometimes too when chatting football with people and certain plays that take place is we have to remember how fast things are going on a play like that. The Pearson to the Howden, and there is your dagger. That's bang, bang, bang. But I mean, when they're charging up the ice and Nyquist stops, you just have to have self-awareness with where you are. Don't you agree with that?
100%. And like I was saying earlier, it's not I told you so. This guy should have been, because who knows if Zeev would have made that play or not. Maybe he would have done the exact same thing and followed, quote unquote, his guy up to the point and left a guy wide open. You never know. The thing that's frustrating is the reason he was brought in is because they didn't trust Zeev defensively, and they didn't trust him in the big moments in overtime. So they brought in someone they did trust, and then the exact reason why he was out there is the mistake that happened, which led to the L in overtime.
It reared its ugly head at the worst time, and that's the only. And you're right, and it's polarizing, and there are a lot of things that transpire in a game that could have changed things to a certain extent, but it is fair to magnify the most polarizing moment that wins or loses you a game. And I don't think that's overstated at all. All right, some talkbacks around the corner. Many more wild takes to be shared during the course of the radio show, courtesy of TimberTech and TimberTech.com. What's on deck 9 to noon includes wild for most of the first hour. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, joins about 20 minutes from now. When we get into football from Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center, happy to have Vikings General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah with us at 10 o'clock. That's going to be a Steve's Appliances Marathon segment. Got about 20-25 with the GM. Then after that, we segue to the Wolves. They lead the Lakers 3-1 in that first round series. And shortly after 9 tonight from Los Angeles, we will have that game on KFAN. Alan Horton on lead vocals. Dane Moore, one of our favorites from the Dane Moore podcast. He'll join about an hour and 10 minutes from now, somewhere around 10:35. And the Vox, Alan Horton from Los Angeles at about 11:03. And we bring it on home with talkbacks at the end of the show on Wild, Wolves, and Vikings with some things that are shared today. But around the corner, Talkback Central, free iHeartRadio app. Get in there and just open a vein about that Wild game last night and just let it out. Create your own metaphorical, therapeutic Davenport of love, and let's chat this thing out, because that was a tough one last night. It was late. People are tired. People are pissed off. And it was big, because now you got to go bang, bang. You got to win both to oust the favored Las Vegas Golden Knights. And you were inches from flipping that script and making tomorrow's Vox in the Box Then the Game on KFAN a closeout Thursday on KFAN. Man, that was a tough one last night. All right, so the talkbacks around the corner. Brett Blakemore has the cash thing right now.
The cash thing, the fan and BigDeck.com wants to give you a shot to win bonus bucks with our national cash contest. Head to KFAN.com and the keyword green in honor of our hockey club. The keyword green, KFAN.com, keyword green.
Click fast and save big. Shop our Blinds.com Spring Cyber Monday sale happening right now and elevate your space with brand new custom window treatments today. Blinds.com is the #1 online retailer for custom window treatments, offering you professional support and styles that fit any budget. From classic shutters and bamboo shades, even motorized shades for your outdoor space. Blinds.com has something for everyone, with honest, upfront pricing and no hidden fees. DIY or let us handle everything from measure to install. Blinds.com makes it easy with free free virtual consultations. Our design experts will help guide you from start to finish, with free samples sent directly to you so you can try before you buy. Plus, every order includes our 100% satisfaction guarantee. Shop Blinds.com's Spring Cyber Monday sale going on right now. Save up to 45% with minimum purchase, plus get a free professional measure. Up to 45% off at Blinds.com. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Get your mother-loving ears on because your big-time radio DJ's got news. PayPal lets you choose how you want to pay for all the stuff. With PayPal, I can pay in-store, pay online, or pay over time. What's that? You want this translated into song? I hope you're sitting down. You can pay your own way. You keep those ears on, you hear? Don't just pay, baby. PayPal.
Learn more at PayPal.com.
Did you know that parents rank financial literacy as the #1 most difficult life skill to teach? Meet Greenlight, the debit card and money app for families. With Greenlight, you can send money to kids quickly, set up chores, automate allowance, and keep an eye on what your kids are spending with real-time notifications. Kids learn to earn, save, and spend wisely. And parents can rest easy knowing their kids are learning about money with guardrails in place. Try Greenlight risk-free today at greenlight.com/iHeart.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish or satin, or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all in the app. Download today.
Fan.
Bonus Bucks is back on KFAN. We have 9 chances for you to win $1,000 every weekday. That's every hour from 9 a.m. till 5 p.m. To enter the keywords and to learn more, head to KFAN.com. Bonus Bucks is presented by BigDeck.com.
Wild talkbacks, Florio on the horizon. Let's let the people speak. This segment and some segments later, designed for you to share how you're feeling right now about the Wild loss last night at Las Vegas. Final score 3-2. Brett's bets harnessed. It was harnessed last night. It proved to have a fallibility, which was crazy because that thing was on fire, and I thought you were going to get the money too. Let's go with the talkbacks.
Yeah, we'll start here. This is a common theme I'm finding throughout the talkbacks and the text line.
Zach, you're just wondering, when are we going to bench Nyquist? I mean, he's done nothing all year since we've traded for him. I think he had 2 blocks last night and cost us probably the series. I think it's 80%, something like that. Game 5 winners win the series, even if it goes 7. So give Liam Ogren a chance.
Heinze had a quote after the game where he did go out of his way to stress all the good things that Gustav Nyquist does for the team. That's why he's in the lineup. Penalty kill, I think, was first and foremost. From an offensive standpoint, or the prowess or lack thereof, I mean, you ain't getting much there. But, you know, when the game of inches goes against you and you're the one that everybody can see, that nullifies what about 90%, that would have been a game-winning goal. Then you're going to face the slings and arrows of the outrageous negatives. And there was the first one. And I'm really glad my man opened up right there because you could tell he was sad. What's next?
There's another Minnesota classic here.
Hey, good morning, guys. Mitch here from South St. Paul. So I'm not one to usually clamor about the refereeing in these series because, I mean, they kind of just go the way they go. But my goodness, once that slew foot wasn't called against Golden Knights in, I think it was Game 2, I mean, you just kind of have the inclination that the referees kind of want one team to win, so we're really battling against it. I mean, hopefully we can do it for these next couple of games, but it is what it is.
I don't know. I mean, the officiating last night didn't. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, there were points, especially Game 4 was a disaster. But yeah, it's one of those things where they have who has the most calls for them. Probably Vegas, but again, the Wild have had their chances. Like Game 4 was so bad officiating, but at the end of the day, you have a power play in overtime, so it's hard for me to get really upset about it when the chance is right there in front of you to win the game.
Next.
Hey guys, Ralph from Ramsey, Minnesota. I watched a game last night. Heartbreaker, but we played with them and I'm not overly worried. I heard someone say earlier, because we were like barely offside, should it really have any bearing on whether or not it was offside? Those are the rules, man. You got to live with them. Yep. You got to die with them.
I agree.
It did have a bearing on the game because if he wasn't offside, the goal would have counted. So that's our own fault. I have no problem with the call. It was a good call. Anyhow, go Wild. Love you guys. Bye.
Yeah, I love you too. I don't know. Nobody here second guessed whether it had a bearing on the game. If anybody sees Nyquist offside and doesn't think it had a major impact on the game, well, then they're foolish. The way it was framed was like, if we're going to lay out some moments here, one of the moments is you lost your starting goalie who was playing out of his head at times. All right. Well, that didn't impact the game, because the defense tightened up clearly, and they weren't getting any shots on Marc-Andre Fleury. Flowers HOF. So Flower came through with his part of the deal. The reason that I said the Howden goal with the tic-tac-toe of mistakes and the most magnification of the biggest mistake will go to John Merrill, because he was closest to the guy who won the game. So that now trumps, in my estimation, I don't have to be right here. I mean, I'm just sharing from the heart like everybody else is. In my estimation, because that was last and that was the game winner, that's most magnifying. And that's certainly not to brush off or just, push to the side Gustav Nyquist lacking self-awareness with where one of his skates was, and he was offside, and it was a fine call. It nullified what probably would have been a game-winning goal. So yes, that's huge. We're looking at a 1 and a 1A here. We're not looking at this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. No, it's a 1 and a 1A because they're in the same basket because they happened in a relatively short amount of time. Minute 15 to go, end of the game. Off your couch, loving everything. Oh my heavens. But you still had overtime. But then you get to overtime. And by the way, you have a right to win the game in overtime. And you had somebody not deflect a puck by the boards. You had somebody kind of standing still and upright, probably in the right position, but a puck luck deflected puck. That's hockey, would have been nice, but it didn't happen. And then you had somebody retreating to a guy he lost, and that guy won the game. So that's why I ended that the way that I did. What's next?
Yeah, we'll do one more here, and I think this kind of sums it up.
A frustrated and very tired Minnesota fan here. Why do the sports gods hate us so much? I don't get it.
That's it.
Well, the small G's, known as the sports gods, they ain't going to be hating on us tonight, because if you said sports, okay, you can be, like for Double B, Brett Blakemore, Brett's Bets and the Breakaways. He doesn't care as much about the Timberwolves as he does the Wild. He doesn't care about the Timberwolves as much as I do. And I love both the teams, but I mean, I focus on basketball too. Well, the Timberwolves, they're next. They're next in line. So those small G's can be eradicated and nullified this evening by the Timberwolves bouncing LeBron James and Luka Doncic. And quite honestly, there's a decent chance that's going to happen tonight. So, well, when it comes to sports, talking about the 4 teams in the core 4, you got another one tonight. If you're talking about why does the state of hockey sports small G god hate the Wild or not let that team get over the hump, man, we could go back to Patrick Kane off the stanchion. I mean, there are so many ways to go with each of these teams. I understand it, but there's another one on deck tonight, and you'll hear it on KFAN. Football with Florio next.
Oh, tasty high note. Oh, hi, don't mind me. I'm practicing my new baritone sax. I just heard PayPal's paying for people's stuff every day for 100 days, and there's $10 million up for grabs. All you have to do is use PayPal checkout online. So there's never been a better time to buy a few things off the old wish list. Like this leaf blower! PayPal can pay for your purchase. The Great PayPal Checkout.
No purchase necessary. Ends July 18th. See official rules at paypal.com/thegreatpaypalcheckout/terms. Participating merchants only must use PayPal checkout online. Coverage of up to $100 and eligible purchases per card.
Avoiding your unfinished home projects because you're not sure where to start? Thumbtack knows homes, so you don't have to. Don't know the difference between matte paint finish or satin, or what that clunking sound from your dryer is? With Thumbtack, you don't have to be a home pro. You just have to hire one. You can hire top-rated pros, see price estimates, and read reviews all in the app. Download today.
Hey, everybody. So when you get asked, what is Odoo, what comes to mind? Well, I'll tell you, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a suite of business management software that some people say is like fertilizer because of the way it promotes growth. But, some people also say that Odoo is like a magic beanstalk because it grows with your company and is also magically affordable.
Ooh. But then again, you could look at Odoo in terms of how its individual software programs are a lot like building blocks. Whatever your business needs, manufacturing, accounting, HR programs, you can build a custom software suite that's perfect for your company. So what is Odoo? Well, Odoo is a bit of everything. Odoo is a fertilizer, magic beanstalk, building blocks for business. Yeah, that's it.
Which means that Odoo is exactly what every business needs. Learn more and sign up now at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Time is precious, and so are our pets. So time with our pets is extra precious. That's why we started Dutch. Dutch provides 24/7 access to licensed vets with unlimited virtual visits and follow-ups for up to 5 pets. You can message a vet at any time and schedule a video visit the same day. Our vets can even prescribe medication for many ailments, and shipping is always free. With Dutch, you'll get more time with your pets and year-round peace of mind when it comes to their vet care.
KFAN and Custom One Exteriors want to give you a chance to catch the St. Paul Saints in action. Check out our contest page to see how you can win a 4-pack of tickets to the Saints game against the Scranton Rail Riders June 7th. KFAN.com. Keyword contest. Enter.
Checking to football, and Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, also an author of several books. You can learn more about that at ProFootballTalk.com. PFT, it's a Wednesday, so one of our very favorites, Mike Florio, joins us now. Good morning, Michael. It's Paul Allen. How are you?
How are you?
Things are well. These prank calls to rookies, I wonder if they happen yearly, but it all finally came to light because one went to Shedeur Sanders and from the son of a National Football League coach. What do you think of that?
Well, I think that makes sense. Look, if it had happened to Johnny Manziel in 2014, it would have been a big deal then. There was a prank call last year to cornerback Cooper DeJean, who ended up being drafted by the Eagles in round 2. It wasn't as big of a deal because nobody was paying attention to the Cooper DeJean slide out of round 1 and into round 2. This year, there are other players who we know were pranked. Tyler Warren, ultimately drafted by the Colts at number 14. He was prank called when the Jets were on the clock at 7. I'm told there's a player out there who got a prank call 30 minutes after he was drafted. He was told he was going to be traded. I've heard a story about a veteran player years ago who got a phone call from one of his friends that he'd been traded, and on his way to the airport, he called his agent, and the agent said, dude, you haven't been traded. So prank calls are not a new thing. What's new is, number one, it happening to a guy with such a big profile, and number two, it all traces back to an NFL assistant coach who had that phone number by virtue of an email that was sent out last Wednesday, the 23rd of April, containing the contact information for Shedeur Sanders and only Shedeur Sanders, the updated phone number. So that's the email that Jeff Ulbricht's son saw. They shouldn't have sent it to this wide distribution list. It went to everyone who gets the waiver report every day, all assistant coaches, all head coaches, all personnel executives, every one of the personnel departments. They have to restrict that information, and I think that's one change the NFL needs to make. Only the owner, GM, coach, if that many, should have those phone numbers. And another way to fix this, just do these calls on FaceTime. Then you'll know when it pops up. If it's some frat boy, you're going to know you're being pranked. If it's the face of Mickey Loomis in a draft room, you're going to know that it's real. So they need to tighten this up. It is a strange thing. It's a hell of a story. And it took what was already a strange draft weekend, and it cranked it all up multiple notches.
Anything come out of this, either with like the Falcons and Ulbrich or the NFL, or do we just look the other way and move on?
Well, here's the question. Does the NFL prefer to make the Falcons the scapegoat to teach a lesson to everyone else, like we've seen the NFL do in the past, for example, in the Saints Bountygate scandal? And I know that strikes a nerve in Minnesota, as it should, but there were bounty programs throughout the NFL. Greg Williams had one, by all appearances, and based on the reporting that was done at the time with statements from players on the record, he had them in Washington and elsewhere. The NFL did not go down that rabbit hole. They sealed it with cement, and they just whacked the Saints. Is that what they're going to want to do with the Falcons? Do we just whack the Falcons and ignore whether or not any of these other prank calls might end up with a breadcrumb trail that goes back to one of the teams? Or in this case, does the NFL realize, you know what, we have culpability here. We handled this sensitive information more loosely than we should have. Let's just look the other way on this. And one wild card in all of it, and there's always a suspicion in league circles when the Falcons get in trouble, whether it's for tampering with Kirko chains, whether it's piping fake crowd noise into their stadium, the fact that Rich McKay, who's an executive with the Falcons, the fact that he's the chairman of the competition committee, people think that gets the Falcons the benefit of the doubt whenever and wherever possible. So that's what people are monitoring. Some think that punishment will happen. Some think it won't happen. Some think it should happen. I think the NFL would just like this all to die down and move on. Look for a bright, shiny object to distract everyone. The problem is, when something like this happens during the season, there's always a game a day or two away. There's nothing at this point that's going to take our attention away from it. I think they hope it all just dies down and goes away. My guess is the NFL is not going to do anything about it, but we'll see.
ProFootballTalk.com is the preeminent football website, specifically for yours truly. And I saw this there yesterday, PFT, day 3 of the draft, TV ratings up significantly. I'm just going to frame it up like this. I wonder why. I mean, personally, I thought it was kind of a boring draft. But what do you think played into Saturday numbers jumping up big?
Well, what I'd like to see is the breakdown hour by hour, 15 minutes by 15 minutes, 4.3 million average for that full 6-hour interminable process. And look, I've been covering the NFL for 25 years. I get to a point somewhere around late 5, early 6, where I just don't care anymore. Yeah, I know Tom Brady was pick number 199, but we didn't know it was Tom Brady. It wasn't like somebody was opening packs of cards and they came across some rare card and we all obviously knew. We don't know whether any of these guys taken late in the draft are going to become great players until they do. For now, it's just another name in this parade that numbs the mind at some point. I suggested yesterday they should start calling Mr. Irrelevant Dr. Kevorkian, because it finally ends the damn thing when the last name is called. My question would be, what happened to the ratings after Shedeur Sanders was drafted? I would suspect that there was a dramatic reduction, almost like Thursday night. Big crowd, awesome crowd. As soon as the Packers make their pick, let's stop taking shots at the crowd, because the crowd all of a sudden isn't as robust outside of Lambeau Field after the Packers picked Matthew Golden, the receiver out of Texas. So I'd love to see the breakdown as to when those ratings dropped precipitously and what those numbers were before, because if there was a significant reduction after Shedeur Sanders was drafted, that means they were a hell of a lot higher than 4.3 million until the Browns made him pick number 144.
Okay, now you and I are not breaking down college football all 22. We're not in the meeting rooms with Shedeur Sanders or other people. We're not at the pro days. You're plugged in league-wide markedly more than me, so you talk to a lot of people about a lot of things. I generally don't, unless it involves the Vikings or maybe a few other teams. End of the equation. Why do you think Sanders slipped? Because it seems unrealistic for him to go when he went. and that there's a proverbial fly in the metaphorical ointment?
I think this is the simplest explanation, and typically the simplest explanation is the right one. There's no conspiracy at play here. People have talked about collusion. No, I think it's as simple as this. Shedeur Sanders treated the pre-draft process the same way that his father, Deion Sanders, treated it. And Deion was supremely talented. He was a once-in-a-lifetime, short list, best of all time, upper room Hall of Famer. We've advocated for an upper room to the Hall of Fame that has the guys where basically you just drop the microphone when it's time to make their case as to whether or not they get into Canton. And we name it the Deion Sanders upper room because he's the one that started aggressively making that point within the past couple of years, that they let too many guys into the Hall of Fame and it takes away from the ones who are truly the best of the best. That's what he was. So, and he's told this story before on the record. When he met with the Giants in 1989 and they drop a binder in front of him with this lengthy test they wanted him to take, he said, "When do you pick?" They said, "Number 18. He said, "See you later. I don't have time for this. I'm not going to be on the board when you pick." He can get away with that. Shedeur's not the same level of talent that can get away with that. And he plays the position that requires something more than, look at how good I play. You've got to show in the pre-draft process, you've got the commitment to your craft, that you're going to do everything you can at the NFL level to put in the time and the effort. So there have been reports of these whiteboard sessions where he meets with teams and he's not prepared. And it didn't go well. The Giants, for example, that's one that's come to light. That if you aren't serious in the pre-draft process as a guy who isn't a generational talent and who is a quarterback, that ultimately ends up dramatically affecting your draft stock. I think that's the main reason. Now, there are other reasons. When Deion Sanders told us at the Super Bowl 2 days before the game on Radio Row, when I asked him point blank, under what circumstances would you go to the NFL as a head coach, he said, "I would only go to coach my son." Okay, so any coach that signs off on Shedeur Sanders might be signing his own pink slip as soon as next year, because what job is Deion going to be eyeballing? Your job. I think that may have played a role in it as well. But fundamentally, more than anything else, I think the failure to take the draft process seriously is the thing that fueled the slide.
I like that. And just to amplify that last point, it's my experience, not only here, but other places, that owners can become intoxicated and or drunk with like players like Deion Sanders when they're around, stuff like that. You know, they just want to be around people like that, and that could make a coach insecure, specifically somebody who may be on thin ice, like you said. I like that take. Now, it looked like Green Bay did a really good job with the draft. Do you think Minnesota ever will get one of these NFL drafts?
I think every team that wants to host a draft is going to get it at some point. This is the ultimate event that can be taken to every city. Even though it was kind of cold in Green Bay, and I think it was 49 the second night, you're going to be able to host these events outdoors in late April, and if you want to do it, you're going to get it. It'll be interesting to see whether everyone gets it once before they start going back to Philly, Nashville, Detroit, where they had 775,000, although those numbers are fugazi. I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but I'm also, as you know very well, somebody who is always looking to pass things through the crap filter. First day of law school, my torts professor, which is the study of, suing people for negligence and other things where you do something to someone else and it damages them, he said the most important thing I can teach you is to have a good crap filter. When they say more than 600,000 fans attended the draft, it wasn't 600,000 different people. It was the same people coming back day after day, and especially on day 3 where the number was higher than it was on day 1. You know how it gets higher on day 3 than it was on day 1? There's a perimeter, and as you exit to go to your car or go to the bathroom or go get something to eat and you come back in, you get counted again. And then you exit again at some point during that 6 hours and you come back through. You get counted again. That's how that number ends up being 600,000. It's still impressive, but they revel in this big number. It's not a real number.
Hey, Mike, if the New York Giants are worth $8 billion, and I saw this at ProFootballTalk.com yesterday, fascinating story. If the New York Giants are worth $8 billion, and Eli Manning might want to pump in $800 million to become a minority owner, this may be a dumb question, but I just want to hear you explain it. Why is that a good investment?
Well, it's always a good investment if you can buy equity in a team. You know, if you can get equity in an NFL team, it's going to keep going up and up and up.
Wow.
The question is, are they going to look for book value for him, for Eli, or are they going to do a sweetheart deal with Eli and whoever he puts in his group? So apparently the Falcons and Ulbrich have been fined. One of my people just texted that. So my gut feeling was wrong, as it often is. It looks like there was some sort of a fine. We'll see what ultimately the end result is. I'm going to work on that.
I have a Shefty tweet here that was just. I'm at the Vikings facility, Twin Cities Orthopedics Performance Center. The fill-in producer Brett Blakemore just sent me this. NFL fined the Falcons $250,000,
wow.
And defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for quote failing to prevent the disclosure. Let me get into this thing. So here it is. Failing to prevent the disclosure of confidential information distributed to the club in advance of the NFL draft. The confidential information part is clearly the key here, right?
Hey, and Paul, here's the key. I wrote about this the other day, and it's funny to see how some of the mouth breathers on social media respond to this because they're incapable of expanding their minds to understand how things that we know happened can lead to other problems. I have been concerned from the moment that the Supreme Court allowed each and every state to embrace legalized gambling if they want to do it. Does the NFL do enough to protect confidential inside information as it relates to who's really injured, what's our game plan, who's going to be featured, all sorts of things. And if 21-year-old son of Falcons defensive coordinator is in a position to misappropriate the phone number of Shadur Sanders for the purpose of pranking him, don't you think that there's going to be kids out there, 21-year-olds and their buddies, that would love to know more about what their friend's dad's team is going to be doing this weekend so they can get an edge on their DraftKings or FanDuel app? That's not a crazy thing.
Wow.
And it just underscores how important it is for the NFL to safeguard confidential information. And the NFL, again, has responsibility here. They sent that email out to people who didn't need to have that information.
That's well stated. All right, I appreciate you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
See you, Paul.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. Minnesota Vikings General Manager Kwesi Adofo-Mensah joins 9 to noon next.
Are you still quoting 30-year-old movies? Have you said cool beans in the past 90 days? Do you think Discover isn't widely accepted? If this sounds like you, you're stuck in the past. Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. And every time you make a purchase with your card, you automatically earn cash back. Welcome to the now. It pays to Discover. Learn more at discover.com/creditcard. Based on the February 2024 Nielsen report.
Do you own a business that's ready to thrive? It's time to let Intuit QuickBooks take things like unpaid invoices and tracking expenses off your plate so you can take things to the next level. Intuit QuickBooks is an all-in-one business platform that can help with those day-to-day tasks like invoicing and expenses. Manage and grow your business all in one place. Intuit QuickBooks, your way to money. Money movement services are provided by Intuit Payments, Inc., licensed as a money transmitter by the New York State Department of Financial Services.
Struggling to get out of bed? It might be time for an upgrade. Leesa makes exceptionally comfortable mattresses designed for every body and budget. But what truly sets them apart is their commitment to giving back. Since 2015, they've donated over 41,000 mattresses nationwide. Elevate your sleep in your space with Leesa. Go to Leesa.com for 20% off their award-winning mattresses, plus an extra $50 off with promo code IHEART. That's LEESA.com. Promo code IHEART for an extra $50 off.
Oh, tasty high note. Oh, hi, don't mind me. I'm practicing my new baritone sax. I just heard PayPal's paying for people's stuff every day for 100 days, and there's 10 million up for grabs. All you have to do is use PayPal checkout online. So there's never been a better time to buy a few things off the old wish list. Like this leaf blower! PayPal could pay for your purchase. The Great PayPal Checkout.
No purchase necessary ends July 18th. See official rules at paypal.com/thegreatpaypalcheckout/terms. Participating merchants only must use PayPal checkout online. Coverage of up to $100 and eligible purchases per card.